I recall many incidents of summer of 1887 that followed my soul's sudden awakening. I did nothing but explore with my hands and learn the name of every object that I touched, and the more I handled things and learned their names and uses, the major joyous and confident grew my sense of kinship with the rest of the world. When the time daisies and buttercups came, Miss Sullivan took me by the hand across the fields where men were preparing the earth for the seed to the banks of the Tennessee River, and there sitting on the warm grass. I had my first lessons in the beneficence of nature. I learned how the sun and the rain make to grow out the ground every tree that is pleasant to the sight and good for food. How birds build their nests and live and thrive from land to land, how the squirrel and the deer and the lion and every other creatures find foods and shelters. As my knowledge of things grew, I felt more and more the delight of the world I was in. Long before I learned to do some arithmetic or describe the shape of the earth, Miss Sullivan had taught me to find the beauty in the fragrant woods, in every blade of grass, and in the curves and dimples of my baby sister's hand. She linked my earliest thoughts with nature and made me feel that birds and flowers I were happy peers. But about this time I had an experience which taught me that nature is not always kind. One day my teacher and I were returning from a long ramble. The morning had been fine, but it was growing warm and stearly when at last we turned our faces homeward. Two or three times we stopped to rest under a tree by the wayside. Our last halt was under a wild cherry tree, a short distance from the house. I shared was grateful that shade was grateful, and the tree was so easy to climb that with my teacher's assistance I was able to scramble to a seat on the branches. It was so cool up in the tree that Miss Sullivan proposed that we have our luncheon there. I promised to keep still while she went to the house to fetch it. Suddenly, a change passed over the tree. All the sun's warmth left the air. I knew the sky was black, but because all the heat, which meant light to me, he died out of the atmosphere. A strange odor came up from the earth. I knew it was the odor of always proceeds and thunderstorm, and a nameless fear clutched at my heart. I felt absolutely alone, cut off from my friends and the firmament. The immense dancon enfolded me, and remained still and expectant. A chilling terror crept over me. I longed for my teacher's return, but above all things, I wanted to get down from the tree. There was a moment of sincere silence, then a multitudinous string of leaves. A shiver ran through the tree, and the wind sent forth a blast that would have knocked me off. I had not clung to the branch with might and main. The tree swayed and strained. The small twigs snapped and fell about me in showers. A wild impulse to jump seized me, and but terror held me fast. I crouched down in the fork of tree. The branches lashed about me. I felt the intermittent jarring that came now and then, as if something heavy had fallen, and the shock had travelled up till it reached the limb I sat on. It worked my suspense up to the highest point, and just as I was thinking, the tree and shade fall together. My teacher seized my hand and helped me down. I clung to her, trembling with joy to feel the earth under my feet once more. I had learned a new lesson: the nature wages space, open war against her children, and under softest touch hides treacherous claws. After this experience, it was a long time before I climbed another tree. There, mere thought filled me with terror. It was the sweet allurement of the mimosa tree in full bloom that finally overcame my fears. One beautiful spring morning, when I was alone in the summer house reading, I became aware of a wonderful subtle fragrance in the air. I started up and instinctively stretched out my hands. It seemed safe spirit of spring and passed through the summer house. What is it? I asked the next minute. I recognized the odor of a mimosa blossom as I felt my way to the end of the garden, knowing that the mimosa tree was near the fence, and the turn of the path is there is it was all quivering and the warm sunshine it blossom laden branches almost touching the long grass. Was there were every anything so excessively beautiful in the world. Before its delicate blossoms sprang from their slightest earthly touch, it seemed as if a tree paradise had been transplanted to the earth. I made my way through a shower of petals to the great trunk and for 1 minute stood irresolute. Then, putting my foot in the broad space between the forked branches, I pulled myself up into the tree. I had some difficulty in holding on, for the branches were very large and back hurt my hands, but I had delicious sense that I was doing something unusual and wonderful, so I kept on climbing higher and higher until I reached a little seat which somebody had built there is long ago. There is long ago that it had grown part of the tree itself. I sat there for a long time, feeling like a fairy on a rosy cloud. After that, I spent many happy hours in a tree paradise, thinking fair thoughts and dreaming bright dreams.